Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and get started. We are on page 47. Do I have a volunteer to read for me? Isabel, you want to start us out?
A great migration to America's shores had begun. Jamestown, Plymouth, and Massachusetts Bay were only the beginning. As the 17th century went on, more and more Europeans came to America. Some came for religious reasons. They wanted to escape persecution and worship more freely. Some came for new opportunities to work or to own land. Many came to the colonies as indentured servants. After working for a master for several years, indentured servants were freed and given a piece of land. Some colonists came hoping to discover gold or silver and get rich quickly. Not all who came were Europeans. Thousands of Africans were brought to the colonies as slaves. Between 1630 and 1750, America's population increased by hundreds of thousands.
Okay, very good. Kaylin.
By the mid-1700s, 13 colonies have been found along the east coast of America. More than 1 million people lived in these colonies. Although the colonists came from many European countries, all 13 colonies eventually belonged to Great Britain. They were under the rule of the English king or queen.
Gracie.
These colonies can be divided into 3 regions. The 4 northeastern colonies were called the New England colonies. The 4 from New York to Delaware were known as the Middle colonies. The 5 remaining colonies were called the Southern colonies.
Okay, cool. So let's focus in on why more Europeans came to America. What were the reasons? And we're going to just do a little bullet point with reasons more Europeans came to America. We're going to start with reasons more Europeans came to America. So go back into the reading. What are some of the reasons? RJ? I'll come back around to you. Gracie?
They came because they wanted to escape persecution and worship more freely.
That is a big one. So to escape persecution and worship more freely. What else, RJ?
Some came from new opportunities to work or to earn land.
Very good. That's another one. So we had religious reasons to escape persecution and worship freely. Some were coming for the opportunities. They wanted more land. We talked about that in the last chapter. There was not that much land and there was not that many jobs and opportunity in Britain, but they knew that a new world and new colonies were going to open up all of these new doors for them. So yes, to escape persecution, they wanted to worship freely. They wanted opportunities. So they also came for those opportunities. Work, and we're going to put to work and own land because we want to make sure that we have that down. But let's think here. There was one other reason. Some of them didn't come over because they wanted to worship freely, because they wanted opportunity.
Indentured servants?
Yes, the indentured servants. They wanted to become, or they didn't necessarily want to, but they would become indentured servants, and that way they could eventually have the opportunity and the ability to worship freely. But they had to come over and they had to work off their debt. A lot of them couldn't afford the voyage to come from Britain to America, so the way that they would work off their debt is by being indentured servants until they were free. So we also have see that last paragraph says, the colonies can be divided into 3 regions. Is that what I'm looking for? No, it's not. By the mid-1700s, 13 colonies had been founded along the East Coast. All 13 colonies eventually belonged to Great Britain. So we know that we're coming into all of this. We literally now have gone from those 3. We had Jamestown, we had Plymouth, we had Massachusetts Bay. But that was just the beginning of this. It was going to be so much more. And we know that the 13 colonies that were started here eventually became what? America. They became our 13 first states. And we're going to be talking a lot about that as we get into it. What other ethnic group came from America besides Europeans?
Africans.
Mm-hmm. I'm not even gonna make that a note. So yeah, we had Europeans coming, but we also had Africans coming. How many people lived in the 13 colonies by the mid-1700s? Gracie?
More than a million.
Yes, more than 1 million. Which country did the 13 colonies eventually belong to?
Wait,
Tanisha?
Great Britain.
Great Britain, yes ma'am. What are the 3 regions the colonies can be divided into? Isabel?
New England, the middle one, and the southern.
Yes, and we're going to make that a note. The 3 regions the colonies are divided into are the New England, Middle, and Southern colonies. So we're going to make that a note as well. Well, we're learning something different than counting to 100. So we had the New England part, we had the middle part, and we had the southern part, and that's how we would divide our colonies up. All right, let's look over at page 48. I need a volunteer to read. RJ.
The founding of the colony of Massachusetts. Plymouth was never as large a colony as Massachusetts Bay. However, it continued for 17 years in 1691. It finally joined with Massachusetts Bay to form one colony. At this time, Massachusetts Bay had became very large, and some of its people had settled in the territory of Maine. This territory too became part of the colony. This colony came to be known simply as Massachusetts. The city of Boston was the center of the Massachusetts colony. Its good location was a port till it quickly became the colony's largest, wealthiest part. Wealthiest city. Boston would play an important part in America history in years to come.
Very good. Alex, read about Connecticut.
3 years after it was founded in 1620, Massachusetts Bay was already becoming too crowded for some people. Some people of the Puritans moved west. They formed 2 towns in the Connecticut River Valley in 1636. The Puritans minister
Thomas Hooker.
Moved to the area along with about 100 members of his church. They found the 3rd town called
Hartford.
Soon the settlements joined to form the colony of Connecticut.
Okay. Tanisha, will you continue reading?
Connecticut was the first colony to write a constitution. This plan of government started at the people agreement with it and setting up leaders. It also said that laws would be made on the basis of God's word.
Very good. Isabel, go ahead and read about Rhode Island.
Another pastor in Massachusetts, Roger Williams, had a large church. He spoke against the leadership of Massachusetts. Williams did not agree with the Puritan leaders about how much control they should have over the religious life of the colony. He believed that the government should not meddle in church matters. This belief is called separation of church and state.
Very good. So if you notice between the 2 pages, I'm sorry, virtual students are having to hear that. If you'll notice on both pages, there are a lot of bold words. I'm getting together your vocabulary worksheet. So we're seeing a lot of new terms. We're seeing a lot of new people. These are going to be some people that you want to remember, but this will be terms. So we're not going to add it to our notes because you will see this with your vocabulary worksheet, which I also allow you to use in the test. So yeah, we're to separation of church and state. Gracie, will you continue reading the Puritans?
Can't find the Puritans.
The Puritans, however,
The Puritans, however, were trying to establish a colony that followed God and all of life. Those who lived in Massachusetts were expected to obey the Bible willingly. The leaders thought that anyone who did not want to worship God as the Bible taught should not be a part of the colony. William continued to stir up trouble. Finally, the leaders asked him to leave. He left Massachusetts in 1635. It was winter and he needed a place to live. In Narragansett. Narragansett Indians let him live with them for the winter. He bought land from them and founded a town. He named the town
Providence.
believing that God had provided for him. The town grew and became a colony of Rhode Island.
Very good. So now, so far we've talked about, and we're just going to do some quick, the colonies that we're starting to discuss. We're just going to start making a quick note of them. We've talked about Massachusetts. What's another one? Call them out.
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island's one of them. Call them out. Connecticut. Very good. So far we've got Massachusetts, Rhode Island. Now we've read about Connecticut as well. I always have to sound this one out because it's a hard word. Connecticut. Now let's read about New Hampshire. Kaylin?
crowded conditions continued to be a problem in Massachusetts. People began to move north. King James had planned that land is this area be cleared for finishing villages. Colonists moved into the region and the small villages grew in the late 16th